Are you the type of person that picks up books, reads, and then just leaves them halfway? You sign up to the gym, go there to work out for a couple of days, but then eventually life happens and you just quit. I had no trouble making new commitments, but I was horrible at doing something consistently. Fast forward to 2024 and I am more consistent than 90% of the people around me. I've been working on my business, training martial arts, reading books, praying, taking cold showers religiously for about 4 months now. In this video, I'm going to talk about the one key principle that will allow you to become incredibly consistent. In the past, my understanding of consistency or discipline was to make earth-shattering effort day in and day out. No matter how tired you are or what the circumstances are, you just needed to bite the gum shield and do that thing. I acquired this mindset partly due to the movies that I was watching, in which the protagonist is constantly grinding, sweating, and screaming. And I kind of thought that this is the only way to make progress and become good at things. What I soon realized was that motivation is a limited resource and it is bound to run out. There are days on which you're not going to feel motivated, and on such days, hard tasks seem literally impossible to do. If you're someone who reads for an hour a day, but someday you wake up totally unmotivated, chances are that you're going to dread having to read 1 hour straight. Or if you do kickboxing workouts for 2 hours a day, on days on which you're unmotivated, working out for 2 hours is going to seem like a mountain to climb. What I typically did during those days was to not do the activity at all. I just simply skipped it. And this is the reason why I was really never consistent at anything. Because as soon as I skipped the activity, I used to feel guilty that I skipped it, and then I would just give it up entirely. This cycle went on for years and years. I was not consistent at anything until I discovered the 30% rule. You see, each task has an activation energy associated with it. The more demanding the task, the higher the activation energy. You as a person are required to jump over this barrier of activation energy in order to start a task. But on some days, this barrier is going to seem way too much to handle and you will not have the motivation to do so. But if you reduce the intensity of the tasks to about 30%, then this barrier of activation energy no longer appears to be a mountain which is impossible to climb. So instead of reading for 1 hour, I read for about 20 minutes that day. And instead of doing hard kickboxing sparring, I just did some light shadow boxing on that day. Lowering the activation energy of a task by reducing its intensity allowed me to keep the ball rolling and keep making progress on the task, even on the days where I was not really motivated. Looking at all these completed tasks on my daily habit tracker made me even more likely to do the task the next day. Because I really wanted to keep the streak going. I started valuing consistency over intensity now. Now some of you are going to have a really hard time adopting this 30% rule because you have what I call the perfectionist plague. You do not feel content unless you do the thing perfectly, and a part of you might even be secretly proud of it and think that it is a virtue. But let me tell you this, trying to be perfect is the enemy of consistency. Because the truth is, you can never ever be perfect each and every day of your life. This all or nothing attitude will forever keep you mediocre and will never allow you to stack days and build something. Here's a quick story. I had this friend of mine. He's a pretty great guy. We were both supposed to record ourselves speaking a couple of lines. What I did was say my lines, had a few errors or pauses in the middle, but I thought, you know what, I could just edit them out and no one would notice. So I got through my part of the video in a single take. He, on the other hand, wanted to get all his lines in perfectly without any pauses or errors in the middle, and the desire to achieve that costed him 10 to 20 takes. Which one of us do you think was able to create videos consistently? The truth is that once you actually become consistent and disciplined, it is really important to be consistent at the right things. You do not want to be consistent at things which pretty much don't do anything for you. Like a bricklayer is pretty consistent, but that consistency does not make him rich or successful. So make sure that you watch this video in order to figure out what are the highly rewarding activities that you should be consistent at.